everyone, to a Greenville County Library System virtual event. I'm so pleased you could join us this evening for our Gardening and Sustainability event. Every day is Earth Day. Earth Day is later on in April, of course, but we can learn about tips for how to take care of the earth and how to sustainably garden. Karen LaFleur Stewart is a master gardener with the Greater Greenville Master Gardeners Association, and she'll be talking with us about all of these tips and tricks to use throughout the year. So we're looking forward to that. Or then, if you're interested in more gardening and sustainability programs, be sure to check out greenvillelibrary.org/events. You can filter events by keyword, or you can search for just gardening and sustainability events. You can check out a bunch of other options that especially feature our master gardeners. So you don't want to miss those. Those can be at your local library branch. And of course, if you're interested in things like getting seeds, so you could start making and growing your own food at home, you can check out the Seed Library. That's available year-round on both the Bookmobile and at the Berea branch. You can visit and take out 10 packets of seeds each visit, just showing your library card. So you want to go and check that out. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with tonight's program. Every day is Earth Day. If you have any questions, you can post those in the chat.
Well, welcome to Earth Day gifting for 2023. My name is Karen LaFleur Stewart. I'm a master gardener, member of the Greenville Master Gardeners Association. As we approach Earth Day for this year, I think it's very appropriate for us to think about gifts that we can give to our planet, because it is Earth Day's celebration to do things like that. So we will look back at where we have been and then look forward to where those gifts may be given. It's been 52 years since Earth Day was started. So have we really made any improvement? That's a good question, and I wish I could report to you that we had made huge progress, but there are still environmental problems, principally shrinking habitats, whether it's here in Greenville, whether it's at the coast, whether it's in the mountains. There is clear cutting of small patches of forest and great big huge patches of forest. We have rampant development where the green spaces are shrinking just about by the day. And I say facetiously that trees are an endangered species in Greenville, because everywhere I go, drive down 290 or 385 and you see a patch of stumps over near the Prisma building. So the ecosystems that were there and were healthy are being weakened. In the 52 years that have elapsed since the first Earth Day, we have found out how incredibly linked and interrelated ecosystems are, much more so than we thought originally. We are still not at a point where we can say they're fully understood, but we do know a lot more about them. Science is always an evolving understanding. It isn't always, like history, a date when something happened. It is a constant reinterpretation of facts. So there are some lessons, however, that we have learned, and lessons where you and I, as individual people, rather than as a society, can make a little bit of a difference. One of the things in the 52 years that has become so apparent is how valuable native plants and animals are to an ecosystem. They are important because they are major contributors to the ecosystem, because they have evolved as a group. For centuries, they have been working together. That means that they are more likely to be stronger and better suited to that environment. and they are certainly contributors to it. And this is what makes the ecosystem work. It's what keeps it balanced. So it is those natives that are the most contributory to the environment. That means the air there, the water, all are going to be healthier. Something else that we have learned in the 52 years is more about human nutrition. And there are two principles that, as we consumers go to the grocery store, are important. First of all, the most nutritious foods are those which grow in a chemical-free soil. That means not even chemical fertilizer. Secondly, the most nutritious foods are those which travel the shortest possible distance to your plate. And those, in turn, contribute to our personal well-being. A third non-food related important new message is we are starting to get some really interesting data about how valuable the time we spend in nature is, not just to our physical health because we're moving, but because our health in general, psychologically, is better. If you think about it, people tend to gravitate to green spaces. Just like this little tot, believe it or not, this happy little girl in the photograph is walking along a mile-high garden called Highline in New York. You may be surprised. Think about all of the tourist attractions in New York City. Highline is the most attended of all of them. And that says that we as human beings tend to gravitate to those green spaces because it is important to our health. So, how can we celebrate Earth Day this year? What can we do that is going to support those ecosystems, to help the ecosystems be healthier and be healthier ourselves? There are a number of things that we can do to provide that support, protection, and encouragement. So we may not ever be able to have a garden like you see here, this beautiful French garden, but I'm going to suggest 5 everyday gifts that each of us can give, not just to our planet, but to our home garden, and to ourselves. First of all, plant a native hardwood tree. Secondly, plant an ornamental that is also a native. Thirdly, add native perennials to your yard, to your landscape. Grow vegetables and improve your soil. In the photograph to your right, you are looking through 2 different native azaleas, a yellow one and an orange yellow one. And in the background, if your eyesight is really good, you're seeing a white shrub blooming that is also a native. So simply by adding natives to the existing landscape, we can improve it. Hardwoods, trees. The backbone of any ecosystem is a collection of native hardwood trees. These are the trees that get very large. They shade our homes. They reduce our air conditioning bills. They keep our cars cooler so that when we get into it, it's not an oven. They give shade. But the most important thing is they provide a home for hundreds of different other creatures. They're a major contributor to an ecosystem. And on the top of the list, the two best that you can plant are the white oak and the southern red oak. They're cousins, but they're equally important. Other alternatives include a red maple or a striped maple, an American elm, and there are other elms, so you need to be very sure that you're getting the right genus and species, Ulmus americana. Any of our smaller trees like native cherries, native willows. And if you have a question, there is a wonderful URL where you can verify that what you're thinking of planting is in fact a native. It's www, and I see there's a typo there, NWF for Natural Wildlife Foundation.org/native plant finder. That's an excellent URL to look up whether or not something is a native. So many of the things that we see in a nursery are hybrids or are not natives. So these you have to really make a point to seek. So if you can't or don't have room for a large tree, then a native shrub or small tree will work just as well. We've just passed through the blooming of the lovely eastern redbuds that you see in this picture kind of in the background. They are native ornamentals and they contribute. But then so do our native dogwoods. You may not be as familiar with silver bells, but it is a lovely dainty white flower that comes out in spring. Serviceberry, which is another Carolina native, and it is on the Audubon bird food list as supplying many species of birds with food. Another option for you, if you're looking for an ornamental, is the American beech. It may not bloom the way a redwood bud does, but still it will be a contributor to the ecosystem. Native perennials. They aren't as big as trees, but they too have a role in a well-balanced ecosystem. And many of these are familiar to you. Probably you know columbine. Many of you may have planted beautyberries, monardia, lobelias. And here's one you may have a misconception about, goldenrods. So many people say, oh, I can't possibly plant goldenrod because it gives me such a hard time in fall. That is a fallacy. Goldenrod has a very sticky pollen. That means it doesn't get airborne. So if you're sniffing a pollen particle into your nose, it is a plant which is smart. It blooms at the same time the goldenrod does, but its pollen is airborne and it is the cause of fall allergies. So plant goldenrods to your heart's content. The sunflowers are lovely to add to your ornamental gardens. They are valuable seed suppliers as well as home for a number of other animals. Fall asters are gorgeous. And the fall aster with the goldenrod, when you are on the color wheel, those two colors together always are lovely. There are others, milkweed, which we know about because they support butterflies, and phlox. So any of those are going to enhance your ornamental gardens. Where can you get them? Well, your best source is the South Carolina Native Plant Society. They will be having a sale April 15th, that date is easy to remember, in Conisty Park, which is near the original baseball stadium south of 85 towards Malden. And even if you can't plant a thing, you can join the Native Plant Society, and simply by being a member, you can help give the planet a little bit of a gift. Check out their website, SC, South Carolina Native Plant Society, and they will give you details about the plant sale that is coming up fairly quickly. Another source of some native plants, because native is not their focus, the Master Gardeners will have a plant sale the Saturday the 29th. You probably are familiar with Jeff Lynch on Roper Mountain Road. As you face it, as you face Jeff Lynch's front door, on the left side will be, in that covered area, will be where the Master Gardeners are selling. And they will have a number of Master Gardeners there to help you, to advise you, to suggest plants, to tell you, no, that probably won't work in your particular situation. But get there early. How early? Well, it depends on how badly you want things. The earlier, the better. The lines start forming 7:30-ish sometimes. Really just depends on what the weather is like. If it's raining, they probably won't be there that early, but then there'll be more plants for you. A fourth thing that you can do to support the planet is to grow local vegetables. Now, I will admit, the vegetables that you grow are probably not going to look like these in the picture. This is the equivalent of a Miss America pageant set of vegetables. You're probably not going to have such scrumptious celery, carrots, etc. in your backyard. They're going to be a little dusty with red clay. But you can grow cherry tomatoes in a container on your deck or on your patio or just in a sunny corner of your yard. You don't necessarily have to try to grow Better Boy or the varieties that are very large and space consuming. You can also grow green peppers, not the jalapeno hot pepper, but regular green peppers, cucumbers, and herbs. And even if you do nothing other than that, you in a small way are helping to contribute to the earth of the planet. If you can't plant yourself, make it a goal to try wherever possible to buy local plants and plants that have grown organically. The farmers market, the original farmers market on Rutherford Road, still has local farmers coming in to sell their materials every single Saturday. Plenty of parking. They even have ornamental plants for sale. But in addition to that, there are some commercial sources. The seasonal markets, commercial sources like the Swamp Rabbit Trail, Garner's, Earth Fare, Trader Joe's. The downtown market on Main Street in Greenville is open Saturdays, May through October, so it's a little early to go now, but they will be there. That downtown market has vendors. And for those, you are going to need credit cards. I think a lot of them do not take cash. So you have to travel having planned to go. Impulsive buying doesn't always work. Grocery stores have sections of organic produce. They don't handle it as well as they could. They may kind of put an area out where they say they have local produce, but I find in my grocery store, I have to look at every single label to be sure that what I'm getting is organic. So be careful about that. They just are big and a little bit less careful than some of the other sources about whether or not vegetables are either local or organic. So, what good is fresh produce to you? Well, it's going to be tastier because if you've ever been in a garden and just picked a tomato right off a vine, you know that it tastes better. It also has higher nutrient content, and that's better for your body. And if you are buying local, you are supporting the local farming community, supporting the farmers that provide the eggs and the vegetables for your meals. And the last thing you can do on the list of easy to do things is simply to enrich your soil. Do you remember in elementary school when you heard tales of the Native Americans planting a fish when they planted corn? Well, that was just composting, burying the waste to return to the soil, to let the soil organisms convert that material into something a plant can use. So if you save your kitchen waste, you can create a small compost pile just in your backyard in a corner that isn't unsightly, but you can improve your soil and not send plant material to the landfill. And it's free. The only thing I would add is please don't use any dyed DYE mulch in that compost heap, and don't use pesticides. If it's well managed, you won't need them anyway. But it's a wonderful way to use the nutrients that you have left over from your meals. Just plant materials, not animal materials, or you may attract rodents. So, if you really want to do those things and are looking for more, if your generosity is even more expansive, the simple thing is shrink your lawn. And if you shrink your lawn, you can have more beds of native flowers and have less to mow, spend less time mowing. So there are some other benefits built into that. One of the most methane producing systems is our animal to table market, beef, hogs, even chickens. If we can reduce consumption of red meat, we can do a lot to reduce the amount of CO2 that these animals and their feedlots are contributing to the environment. I'm not saying become a vegetarian, but the more vegetables on your plate and the smaller the quantity of meat, the better for you and the better for your planet. We're a little late, but something else you can do is reduce the invasives. Get rid of the plants that take over and dominate ecosystems like Bradford pears, like honeysuckle, like mimosa. All of those plants are not contributing to the ecosystems. Yeah, they look like they're okay, but they really are not. They're foreign invaders like kudzu that take things over. So do your part to get those out of your garden. There are all kinds of wonderful, lovely ornamentals besides Bradford pears. And Clemson offers a bounty for Bradford pears cut down on your property. Go to Clemson website searching for bounty for Bradford pears. And what they'll do is they'll give you a different tree to plant. And you can always, if you're convinced of the value of giving these gifts, educate somebody else. Because the more people who make gifts like this to the earth, the better off we will all be. Any of those of you that want to read more about this, there is a biologist, Doug Tellamy, who writes wonderful, explanatory, informative text about how important our ecosystems are. A couple of his titles are on the screen: Bringing Nature Home and Nature's Best Hope. His wonderful story of observing a mother chickadee flying from her nest to an oak tree and back, and how many times, something like 400 times a day, is really powerful. How many mothers among you would make 400 trips to feed your children? Think about it. And if you really, really want to curl up with an interesting book, read The Overstory, a Pulitzer Prize winner by Richard Powers. That's for those of you who love armchair gardening. So the formula is fairly simple and fairly easy to do. If we have good soils, if we have a good assortment of native plants, we are going to have more healthy ecosystems. And the more healthy ecosystems there are, the more you and I will want to get out into those ecosystems and enjoy them. And then we will be healthier too. So healthy ecosystems, healthy people, and that is going to lead to a healthier planet. So that hopefully in the next 50 years, we will be able to say, look how much change we have made and how much healthier the planet is now. So thank you for your interest and your time. Here's some information from March in Spartanburg about the Bradford Fair Bounty. It's out of date, but you can do it next year because there will be another bounty year, both in Spartanburg and through Clemson. So that's looking forward to next year's Earth Day, when I hope that you can report that you have been giving the Earth lots of gifts throughout 2023. So thank you very much for your support, and may all your gardens be green and healthy.
Thank you so much, Karen, for that informative session. I know that I've taken some of that into consideration already. I got rid of our Bradford pear ages ago. Best decision I've made. Getting rid of those invasive species and then planting something new in its place, of course, something that's local and better for us. So I hope that you've been able to write down some of these options as things that you can think about putting into action before Earth Day, or every day is Earth Day, so anytime really, and really just to embrace living in this area and how to best garden for Greenville. If you have any questions about the presentation today, of course, you can contact the Greater Greenville Master Gardeners. I've got some links in the chat. Also, those will be in the recording description, so you can access that there. We're so grateful to Greater Greenville Master Gardeners for sharing their knowledge and expertise with us. If this is your first time watching us, we hope that you'll come back and watch again. We've got virtual events and in-person events going on all the time. We also have recordings. So if you're watching the recording or you're watching us live and say, hey, I want to go back and watch this again, you can do that. Our YouTube channel is Greenville Library, and we have a whole gardening and sustainability playlist. On that playlist, we've got lots of great content there about gardening, years of lessons learned in Greenville County. Most of that's done by our master gardeners as well. So that's something to surely check out. As always, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter so you don't miss out on other fun events. And of course, visit that seed library that we have all year round at the Berea location of the Greenville County Library System, or on the bookmobile. You just show your library card and you can get those packets of seeds every visit. You can learn more information about that at greenvillelibrary.org/seed library. Got that link in the video description in the chat as well. We're so pleased that you could join us tonight, and I hope we will see you again very soon. If you don't already have a library card, be sure to get one. Thanks so much. Have a great day. And happy Earth Day.